This is the She Dares to Travel podcast, and I am your host, Raquella Pollock. After spending a decade managing the #1 travel agency in Canada and now working with tourism businesses in risk management, I am here to connect you with women who are taking the travel industry by storm, as well as business professionals with a passion for travel, just like me. We are here to inspire, motivate, and uplift you to not only follow, but plan out your dreams, no matter where in the world they may be. Be sure to leave a review, subscribe, and follow along. Hello, all you daredevils. Welcome back. We have another episode as we are talking to different women always that want to drive innovation and excellence in the world of hospitality and tourism. And today I am just thrilled to introduce a true industry titan whose leadership and dedication have earned her widespread recognition and admiration. Joining us today is Madone Pelan, the general manager of the acclaimed Oak Bay Beach Hotel in Victoria, the #1 hotel in Canada, I must say, which is very exciting. Madone has an impressive array of accolades under her belt, including recent honors such as Business of the Year at the Tourism Industry Association of Canada Awards and Employer of the Year at the Tourism Vancouver Island Awards, as well as finalist for Woman of the Year at last night's Tourism Industry Association of BC Awards. From this hotel, the Oak Bay Beach Hotel, being ranked #1 in Canada to earning its spot as #19 hotel in the world by Conde Nast. Absolutely incredible. And really a lot of it is attributed to Madone's commitment to excellence and innovation. And she has a robust background in sales and marketing with a track record of driving revenue growth in the luxury hotel market, which clearly shows. And she continues to set the standard for success in this industry. She is also on the board of directors for Destination Greater Victoria and a chair for the Oak Bay Tourism. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to chat with you today and just pick your brain, if you will.
Of course. Yeah. No, it's great to be here.
I'm very happy to be here in your city in Victoria. Is this somewhere you've always lived?
I feel like I've been here my whole life, but it's been about 22 years now. So I'm a Vancouver girl.
Ah, yeah. Nice. Very nice. So born and raised?
Pretty much. I actually was born on one of the Gulf Islands and then moved to Vancouver early on. So
okay. Do you go back to the Gulf Islands quite often?
I try and visit every summer and explore them because they're pretty magical, but I don't get back very often, no.
No, yeah. Well, you have to go.
Yes.
At some point, So tell us a little bit about your trajectory into tourism. How did it begin? Did you always know you wanted to end up here?
I think like many people, I took a summer job when I was 15. I worked at Canada Place, and I worked there to do check-ins for the cruise lines and cruise ship terminal. I didn't know a lot about tourism. I absolutely loved travel and knew that I wanted to do a lot of travel. So it seemed to make sense to get close to people who traveled and work in the industry that way. And it absolutely... I fell in love with it. I loved the industry. I felt like I found my people. And then, and within a couple of years, I ended up working on board cruise ships and spent 3 years traveling the world doing back-to-back cruises. So
no way.
It was a bug that I caught.
Wow.
And and went from there.
Amazing. What were you doing on the cruise ships?
So I was hired to be a junior assistant purser, which essentially is front desk agent on the cruise ship. And I joined a ship that was doing back-to-back world cruises. So they were 90-day cruises, and they flew me out to Mumbai to join the ship, and I was 18. And so it was everything all at once. It was amazing.
Wow. How did you feel being that young, traveling and seeing the entire world?
Super fortunate. I felt like I hit a jackpot, and I was so excited. Looking back, I know I must have been nervous in some way, but the excitement overrode that, and curiosity, and just that passion of exploring new places and meeting new people.
Definitely. Yeah. I've heard a lot about crew quarters on cruise ships.
Yes.
And then it's its own little city down there, and people are hawking packs of cigarettes. And so Tell me, what is it like?
Oh man, there are stories. I feel like many of us that worked on cruise ships always talked about writing a book because it's just so fascinating. It is a whole
Yeah.
other world. Um, because I was brought on as a front desk agent or junior assistant purser, it's considered an officer position.
Okay.
And so officer quarters are a lot different than some of the other positions. So we weren't completely below
Yeah.
the water decks. And I only had one other roommate, whereas many
Okay.
of the quarters had four beds
Yeah.
to a room. So that makes it really different. But I spent many times visiting and
Getting tattoos.
Yeah. Exactly. Not quite.
I heard
no.
that one too.
Yeah. No, there's stories about like chickens being kept in. There was
Really?
a goat one time.
Oh, I can see.
Yeah.
That's
Anyhow,
hilarious.
definitely its own community down there. It's really cool.
Well, that is incredible, and to see so much at a young age.
Yes,
So
yeah.
then, what happened after cruising?
So I spent 3 years really taking it all in, and I would have probably kept going, but my mother fell ill. She was in an accident, and I had to fly home unexpectedly, and realized that I needed to be close by, and so that was my opening into hotels. So having worked a front desk on a cruise ship, I was able to step into fairly seamlessly to the Sutton Place and started there on the front desk. It was a 5-diamond hotel. I landed in Vancouver and I kind of went, I only want to work for the best place in the city. And
Good for you.
picked that one and I did all my research and I came in super prepared.
Yeah.
And I was thrilled when I was hired there, and it was outstanding. Yeah.
And so that was front desk that you got hired?
Yes.
And then was there growth within the Sutton Place?
So it's interesting because especially in International Women's Day, we talk a lot about that gap in the industry and what happens. How do women get to the senior leadership of roles? And oftentimes there's an interruption in their career to have a family. And so I was at the Sutton Place for about a year and a half when my husband and I had our daughter. And so, I had to I was on a trajectory for promotion and everything had to shift and change. And that's when we decided to move to Victoria. He had a career opportunity to step in as a chef somewhere, executive chef. And then, we made the decision at that time, I would take the step back. He would do the career growth.
Yeah.
And I did a very boring office job, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 as a receptionist. I hated every moment of it. I just craved to get back into the industry.
And do more. But that's, there's something to be said about that type of teamwork, though. Very much so. And even on the flip side, I was speaking to someone earlier, and for when it is your time to grow, having a partner that's okay to stay back with the kids and normalizing that and making sure that is okay.
Yeah.
So that's incredible. And then, so then moving into hospitality, how did you find your growth? Was it hard? Was it challenging? I can imagine. I'm not going to ask if it was easy because it probably wasn't.
Yeah, sometimes the path that you think you're on changes.
Yeah.
And in that moment, you don't always know where it's going to take you. And there's these wonderful surprises along the way. And yes, it can be hard. Back to the partner that supports, we had that conversation about, whose time it would be and tagging off. We knew, our family was our priority, and we both agreed that we wanted somebody to be home and be the rock and the foundation, but we couldn't be away at the same time. So once he entrenched himself and became, rooted in his career, then he said, okay, the time came. So I started working here at the Fairmont Empress in 2003. And again, in reservations and as a sales coordinator, very stable, steady Monday to Friday, but back in the industry that I loved. And the moment that, he tagged out and I tagged in, I was ready for the sales manager role, which
Yeah.
sent me traveling, and
Awesome.
it grew my connections almost overnight. I found the most inspiring leaders and mentors along that path that I just immediately knew I just needed to keep doing this.
Yeah.
And so uh, the next jump up was really when, when your kids are old enough to be home alone, or that there was
Yeah.
definitely every stage of my growth.
Yeah.
Big jumps in my career came at pivotal junctions of family. So when my daughter was old enough to go home and do homework at
Yeah.
13, and I wouldn't have to be home with her right away, it opened
Yeah.
up opportunities for me to take advantage of when she started to drive.
Yeah, there you go.
that was
Yeah.
another opportunity,
Yeah.
and so that allowed the space for me to grow,
To grow,
and
yeah.
to take advantage of opportunities as they presented themselves. So,
Which is important, and it's important to be true to yourself.
Yeah.
In the stage you're at
Yes.
with your life, and being patient, if possible, for the right timing and opportunity. And sometimes there is the right timing, sometimes there isn't. Yeah, very true. Where has this job taken you? Around the world, around Canada?
It's all over. I spent nearly 11 years with Fairmont, about 11 years with Fairmont. And during that time, the majority, I was in sales. And so I represented Fairmont all over Canada and North America. So I've had a chance to travel extensively, right through to Mexico, and having to present in Spanish, which I don't speak.
Oh, wow.
So that's always
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah.
I memorized a script and then finished with, if you have any questions
Yeah.
in English would be.
Don't ask.
I know, I did my best, but not fluent. So.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Is there anywhere that's a top highlight for you that the career is taking you?
I always say my favorite place to go is somewhere I've never been before, because I get that excitement of it, exploring and discovering something new, and I love doing the research of, where are the places to go and dine, and what do what do I want to see, and I get super excited for it. There's a city that I've had a chance to spend time in New York, and it's just such an amazing city that's got so much energy and so much to see, and it energizes me every single time I go there and see something different. So
Oh, I love New York. I haven't been since 2020, like afterwards, but I remember prior, my husband and I went a few times, and there was one time we were wandering around Times Square, and we stopped at the Sport Check, and we're like, hey, excuse me, what time is it? And the guy's like, 2 in the morning, I don't know, 1:30 in the morning, 1:45. We're like, and you're still open? They're like, oh yeah, we go till 4 a.m. We're like, this is the city that never sleeps. Like, what is this? But you're right, it's energizing. It's
it
so,
is.
as for being a concrete jungle,
Yeah.
it's very energizing. Oh, I do love it. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and with all the travels even that you've had, is there any quick tip, travel advice that you could give us? Something you always have to bring when you travel, something you always like to have at a hotel or request? Any little tips?
Back to exploring a city. I love to, when it's safe and I'm well informed. I really like to go for a run in the morning, and I find that I see a lot of the city from a different lens than what you see passing in a car. I love to surprise clients by coming in with, why don't we dine at this restaurant? It just won, best new restaurant in the city, and they're like, how did you even know about this place? I've heard about it.
Yeah.
So I really like doing the research going into it to find interesting places to eat that locals go to, and then seeing it from a lens of a local, like you would on a morning run. So
Oh, I like that. And that's a way to travel that I think a lot of people can forget.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to schedule something on every single day of your trip, no matter where you are in the world. Even here in Victoria, I'm guilty of it this week because I schedule something every day.
Yeah.
But taking that downtime or that time to slow down, especially in the mornings when it's less hustle bustle, great idea. Great idea.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about the Oak Bay Beach Hotel. It is now #1 in Canada. What was it ranked when you started?
You know, I joined the hotel in 2015, and it had been building its reputation and its brand since it had reopened only 3 years earlier in 2012. So it's a boutique independent hotel that was known very locally and had a little bit of presence outside of Victoria, known by a few people in Canada, but it takes time to build a brand. So while it was doing amazing things in 2015, and I think it was ranking in the top 30, by 2019, we've really been building our own brand and story.
Okay.
And of course, this award really propelled that that brand. So,
And what makes it so unique that people want to keep returning and leave these incredible reviews?
You know, I think it really is a magical location. So it's right on the ocean. Our outdoor mineral pools and hot tubs they sit right on the edge of this rugged, wild West Coast ocean that you can take advantage of all year round because of our temperate climate here.
Yeah.
And, coupled with an award-winning spa, an incredible culinary team with, several different restaurants. And we just have very, very genuine service. So it's our staff, hands down, that make the difference. And they make everyone's stay really special. And I'm so proud of every day. Because, when we hire, obviously we hire for experience and skill set, but we really hire on that personality, their ability to care genuinely about the guests. And so it shows.
How do you find that in the interview?
I think it's you ask the right questions, and you can tell that when it really resonates with someone. You ask certain questions and they light up. And for me, that's what we look for. It's about finding the right fit more than anything else. A lot of skills can be trained or learned, and we invest a lot in our staff and a lot in training and education. And so for the right people, you're willing to go all in because you can just see this amazing potential. So that's what I get passionate about. It's like the growth and development of our team. So.
That's amazing. And you're right, because that's who we see from the moment we arrive at a hotel to the ones that are cleaning the rooms, that are all about. So it's true. That's the experience. It's making sure that you have it. You should be very proud. Yeah, very proud. So going from the sales background that you have, how did it move into general manager?
Yes, this was the curveball that I was talking about. I was with a branded hotel chain for a long time. There was really a ceiling there because although I had been there for 11 years, there were many other people that had been there for longer ahead of me, and there was just no room for growth. So I I transitioned over to the Oak Bay Beach Hotel to become the director of sales and marketing there, and worked for Michelle Lesage, the general manager, who is a powerhouse in her own right, and she just absolutely took me in under her wing and mentored me, and things that a director of sales would never have a chance to do maybe at larger hotels. I was there. I was sitting at a table with her, helping to decide on fabric swatches and paint colors and vision for the hotel, and just opened up this whole world of beyond just sales in the hotel world.
Wow.
So when she decided to step out of the industry, and February of 2020.
Oh, she didn't know, but she knew.
She didn't know, but she has the most impeccable timing of anyone I've ever known.
Yeah.
And so she took me for lunch. She let me know she was leaving, and I was like, "Oh no, I can't believe you're leaving." And she said, "And I've been speaking with the owners, and we really think that you should be the next one to step into this role." And I was absolutely floored because it's a completely different world of responsibilities and everything else. So, and I did the why me. Need to think about it. It's a huge shift in commitment and dedication. Had a conversation with my husband who was like, "Give your head a shake."
Good man.
Who has these opportunities that open up to them like this. You have to give it a shot and try. So I said yes. It was promising to be an amazing year. Everything lined up. We had all of our planning for the year done. All I needed to do was execute on the plan. And then obviously the world, I took over March 1st. March 13th, everything started shutting down. And then I shut down the hotel and then had to reopen it. So
that must have been hard.
It was the fast track to learn very, very quickly. And in hindsight, probably the best thing that could have happened in the sense of me understanding that property inside and out. I know every room. I know every order that we have that comes into a guest room, from brand of toilet paper, how much it costs, to every detail, because I had to be a part of it, right? So it gives you a different perspective when you have that kind of oversight on it. So.
Well, and it's something that I keep hearing so much with 2020, and I know so many had to pivot, that old word that we heard at all the conferences, and everyone was doing it. But it is the perspective it gave a lot of us, and that slowdown, that freeze in time, as hard as it was for the businesses that did survive, it is that perspective. Yeah. And I'm wondering what your perspective was coming out of it and when you were reopening.
Yeah. Man, it was hard, but it was also once we knew what we wanted to do with the team we had in place. We had this incredible meeting, and essentially it distilled down to we can't control the things we can't control. So let's focus on the things we can.
Yeah.
And what do we want to say we did in a year from now? What do we want the legacy to be? And we worked towards that the entire time, and then it became really exciting. Like, we want to be a community supporter. We want to do the right thing and be a safe place to come. And we want our guests who are exhausted, stressed, tired, overwhelmed to walk in and find a feeling of relief and rest and rejuvenation and feel renewed when they leave. And so having those key, then the creative juices started. And we were meeting every day. We were having, like, how can we enhance the guest experience when we've taken everything out of the room?
Exactly.
How do you make that welcoming? How do you provide warm, welcoming hospitality behind a mask and a glass and 6 foot distancing? Like, how do you do that? So
wow. What's the answer?
You look at it from the guest perspective, and you meet them where they need to be met. And so, and it's that anticipation of guest experience, and it really changed the way we did our business completely, and it put the guest focus, always guest first, but this was from a guest lens. So it was very cool.
Change. And what a great reminder how important it is to focus on the positive and the solution, because without doing that, it could have been so easy to just go right into the spiral of, oh, well,
can't do this,
can't we do anything, so good for you.
Yeah, that key piece of, after every update at 3:00 in the afternoon, instead of hearing what we couldn't do, we walked away, okay, so we can do this and we can do that. And
I love that.
So we were always 3 steps ahead, because it was good.
Good, great. That and that again, that's the mindset and the shift that even all of your staff needed in that moment.
Yes,
So they could go home feeling more refreshed
Yeah.
and productive versus feeling stagnant. And,
Yeah.
yeah, what a time. I'm so glad that you guys came out of it ahead, right? Ahead, which I feel like many other hotels could have learned probably from that approach, but I know everyone had a lot going on at that time anyways, so yeah.
You know, in hindsight, because I was a brand new GM and then I got completely shut out of any kind of interactions with other GMs. I had no real community at that point. It was almost a blessing that I didn't know what I didn't know. So when you don't know like that you shouldn't be able to do this, you just kind of do it.
Just do it anyway.
So it was like I was the cheerleader. I'm like, we can do this.
I love it.
Like, okay.
Ask for forgiveness, not permission.
Exactly.
It's fine.
Exactly.
Oh, that's too funny. Well, I do want to talk, as it is International Women's Day, it's Women's History Month, about women in the industry. And I know it's a widespread topic. I know that further you get up into C-suite, higher level management, the percentage of women there lowers.
Yes.
And I know this is something that is talked about, it's very aware of, and I'm wondering how it's something that we make sure it doesn't fall backwards and we continue to talk about it.
Yeah. It's a complex challenge. It's not a one solution, and I think it's really systemic because of how women are often the caregivers and providers, and they tend to take on a lot of the duties, not only with childcare but with caring for elderly parents and sisters and friends and things like that. So. For me, it's a shift in our industry to make it sustainable, and what I mean by that is we can't be burning the candle at both ends, putting in exhausting long hours at low pay. It needs to be built out to be manageable for the long term, and that means that we have to give opportunity for everyone to, you know, take the time off they need to take their child on a field trip or leave early to go to a doctor's appointment. And not just women, I'm talking men as well. Because when there's equality in a sharing of responsibilities at home as well as at work, then all of a sudden you have a lot more opportunities that open up for women along the way. I use a good example. You know, I have 3 of my senior leaders who are men, and they have young children at home, and they have wives who have wonderful careers, and they're the ones that I have to leave at 3 o'clock because of swimming lessons. I need to take time off to take my daughter to a skating field trip, and you know, these are the kind of things that we have to normalize.
Yep.
In order to allow their wives who work for a different company so that they can show up and be there at the table and accept the promotions. There's that, and there's also that confidence. I do see it in negotiating contracts and knowing, you know, that oftentimes men will see 10 qualifications for a job and they have 4 of them. They think, I got this. Women will see 10 qualifications, they have 9 and think that they're not qualified to apply. We need to change that mindset. We need to build confidence in order to get women applying into those positions that oftentimes they're holding themselves back on.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, and this is a conversation I just had as well, because it's the confidence, it's the stepping into your power, it's knowing that we can find the answers. We can always find an answer, and there's always someone that's willing to give it to us if we ask.
Yes.
But you're right. I don't know how we change that on a larger level. Besides, my dad would always say, frequency sells. So it's the constant of making sure that it's getting out there, constantly talking about it and sharing the stories, because it's so important. And I love the balance of having men and women working together. I love that balance, because in having that, there's the collaboration, there's the different perspectives, there's the ideas, but we need to we need to have that opportunity to get there. So I don't know the answer to that, but we just got to keep talking about it.
It's true. It's true.
Right? Yeah.
And the more women who are empowered, the more they empower women. And
Absolutely.
it's a cycle and that just grows and it feeds itself. So
I am seeing more of it, you know, in Kelowna. There's so many women networking groups that have popped up. It almost feels like a feminine rising that's happening. Do you find that within the hospitality industry at all?
absolutely. I
Yeah.
think Victoria has become this really unique, magical place where we have more women GM in this city than anywhere else that I know of.
Really?
And it's a very tight community, and everyone is close. They're supportive. I received several emails and texts about Happy International Women's Day. We get together, you know, these senior women in the industry, not only hotel GMs, but in other tourism fields as well. You know, we have regular get-togethers, whether it's monthly or quarterly. I probably have 3 or 4 different groupings of powerful, independent, incredibly successful women that we get together and we make time for each other. And that really just lifts you up. And I think it pulls other people in as well. I'm constantly looking to put spotlights on the up-and-comers and bring them to these networking events and introduce them to other incredible women. And it does make a big difference.
Yeah, you're bang on.
Yeah.
Empowered women empower women. It
Yes.
is so true. And I feel that the inspiration that we all need at times when that little creep starts creeping up, the little voice in our head, the self-doubt, it's something that's so important to remind ourselves. And it's always interesting that it's easier to take advice from someone else than take our own advice, or even when we're giving it. It's so much easier to just give it than take it.
100%.
I know. It's an interesting one. So with your career, with all of these accolades, with the awards you've received and the hotel has received, what one is your most proudest moment?
Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint because originally all applying for awards and you know, really going after this was a part of our marketing strategy because of sales and marketing. But then we started seeing these pretty special things happening, and you know, the Employer of the Year award that we got through 4VI a few years ago, that came at the absolute darkest depths of the labor shortage. And it was the timing of this award, what it represented. We had just been through battle, and we just felt so incredibly proud because this culminated to an award that essentially validated everything that we had been trying to do. And so for me, that one is pretty special. The Conde Nast is so cool, though. I have to say,
cool.
Knocked me off of my feet when we got that. I had to do a double take, and
did you apply for it? I don't know the process of how that works with Conde Nast.
So it is a reader's choice, and so it's a online voting, and so it was a tricky year because that was 2021, so travel hadn't fully opened, but we were fully open, and we were hosting media, and we were hosting you know, journalists to come through, and so all of a sudden we had a lot more spotlight on us than maybe we had before, and so I think it allowed. And we were doing all these special things in rooms that other places weren't doing because we were still very much in restrictions. And so part of the award reflects the work that we did to overcome the restrictions and create that special experience. So again, that was very cool.
That's a cool one. That is a really incredible 19 in the world.
You know, I didn't even find that out until the next day because I was so hung up on the number one, and we all just called each other and screamed, and then we met and jumped up and down. We're like, okay, what does this mean? Oh my goodness, we're going to have a huge spotlight on us. We need to be prepared and get to work. So,
oh, what a good moment that must have been.
It really was.
So incredible. So what would you say is the biggest piece of advice for someone that's looking to come into the hospitality industry, but not only just come into it, but move into a managerial position?
I think it's really important to find someone who's doing what you want to do. And not only find those people, but you know, build community, and if you can find a mentor, it goes such a long way. It fast tracks the process because it's almost like a cheat. You get the information that somebody else worked really hard to learn.
Yeah.
And it's certainly very, very beneficial. So those are really helpful.
Yeah.
But definitely follow your passion. Things that excite you will motivate you to do more.
And then when the times get tough, you still have that passion burning, so you still want to keep moving forward.
Exactly.
Yeah. What about the best piece of advice you've received?
Oh, I've received so many great pieces of advice at times that were specific that I needed them. But, I think one woman that I really admire talked about staying curious and staying passionate and positive. So I know that sounds very cliche, but coming from her, she was already at the top of her career. It allowed me to see that you never stop learning. Yeah. And if you stay curious and you keep digging and asking questions, it just opens up more and more opportunities.
Yeah.
So.
Well said. Yeah. And it's true. Being curious is something that's helpful. I even find being curious helps me get through harder times when I think I can't do something.
Yes.
I'll be like, oh, well, why don't I learn more about it?
Yes.
Why don't I find more?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time, your energy, your story. It's incredible and what you've done and the innovation and creativity. I know this is going to inspire many, and I hope more will go into the hospitality industry. I know that people are needed, and it is definitely a great career, so thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you are welcome. And where can people find more about Oak Bay Beach Hotel?
www.oakbaybeachhotel.com.
Easy. Perfect. Social media?
Yes. So we are on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. So
Perfect.
You can find us everywhere.
Awesome. Thank you again so much.
Right.
Really appreciate your time. When it comes to beautiful British Columbia, Vancouver Island is definitely one place to put high on your bucket list. As your island gateway, Nanaimo Airport is conveniently nestled in the Central Island. It's located right between the hubs of the Cowichan Valley and Nanaimo, and you're only moments away from the ocean surf, mountain bike trails, year-round golf, wineries, and majestic mountains, just to name a few. The air terminal building has more than tripled in size over the years thanks to many projects that have taken place and a 20-year expansion plan for the building. And super fun fact, did you know that Nanaimo Airport actually started out as a base for the Royal Canadian Air Force? It was for glider pilot training facilities and wartime emergency airfield. And now more than 80 years later, it's a regional airport that's connecting Vancouver Island to the world. So definitely put Nanaimo Airport on your next destination list when you go to Vancouver Island. So go get outside and explore. If you like this episode, please subscribe, download a few more, and leave a review. I really would love to hear from you, what you enjoyed and what your key takeaways were. And of course, please let me know if there's any aspect of the travel industry you want me to talk about next. You can also search for the hashtag SheDaresToTravelPodcast on Instagram and comment on the episode's post with your questions. I'd love to answer them all for you guys. I hope you enjoy your day, stay so well, and until next time, fly straight.